The first sign is never in the sky. It is on the ground. I was checking a snare line near the creek and I saw it. The chickadees. They are the first to know. They are the mountain's smallest, bravest messengers. A man who does not listen to the chickadee is a fool. They were not flitting, not high in the branches. They were low. They were frantic. They were feeding on the frozen ground, snatching dormant insects from under the bark, their feathers puffed out, their little calls sharp and angry. They were not eating. They were panicking. They were fueling up. I stood still, breathing in the cold, clear air. 20 degrees, maybe. The sun was bright, the sky a high, clear blue. A full sky. Then I smelled it. The wind was from the south, a warm wind for this time of year. But under it, there was another smell, a high, thin, metallic smell, the smell of iron, the smell of the deep Arctic, riding over the top of the warm air. The chickadees knew. The high air was poison. The warm air was a lie. I looked north. Nothing, not a cloud. But the birds were terrified. A normal man, a modern man, would have looked at his phone, seen a bluebird day, and walked on. I knew better. I knew a false storm was coming, the worst kind, the kind that doesn't warn, it traps. I pulled my traps, the steel heavy and cold in my mittens, and I turned back toward the cabin. I did not hurry. Hurrying is a sin. But I did not waste a step. A week later, he arrived. His name was Mark. He was not a fool. He was the opposite of a fool. He was smart. He was educated. And that made him in some ways more dangerous. He was a man of systems. He'd been a soldier. Now he was a preparer. He had come to my cabin not to learn, but to show, to test his systems against my anecdotal knowledge. He laid his gear on my floor. It was beautiful, in a deadly way. "Old man," he'd say, respectful, but with that fire of the true believer in his eyes. "This is my shelter system." It was a bag, a green bag that fit in his hand. "It's a mylar-impregnated tube tent," he said. "Reflects 95% of body heat. Lighter than one of your beaver pelts." I nodded. I was sitting on my buffalo robe. It weighed 40 pounds. "This," he said, "is my fire system." It was a box, a little plastic, waterproof box. Inside, a plasma lighter that shot a purple-blue X of electricity. "Rechargeable by this," he said, tapping a small black square. "Solar panel, and for backup, a ferro rod." My fire system was a piece of high-carbon steel, a sharp piece of flint, and a tin of charred cloth. "And this," he said with a quiet pride, "this is the God's eye." It was a GPS, a thick, rubber-armored thing with a screen. Solar, too. It has maps for this entire continent. I know where I am to the foot at all times. I had a small, liquid-filled compass, and the stars. "Your gear is heavy," he said, looking at my iron pots, my wool blankets, my canvas anorak. "It is," I said. "It's not efficient." "No," I said, "it is not." He smiled. "The woods are just a math problem, old man. It's about calories in, calories out. Heat loss versus heat gain. My system solves the math. It's smarter." "It is a kind of smart," I said, stoking my fire, "but I think you're wrong about the math." "How so?" "You think the woods are the problem," I said, "and your gear is the answer. That's the wrong math." He didn't understand. Not yet. The difference is not the tool. It is the mind. The modern man, his tech, it is rigid. A GPS is a map. It cannot be anything else. A plasma lighter is a spark. It cannot be tinder. A nylon tent is a roof. It cannot be food. The tech is a set of answers to questions you already know. What happens when the mountain asks you a question you have never heard before? The man of tech fails. His system breaks. The man of knowledge is fluid. His system cannot break because his system is his mind. He looks at the world and everything is a tool. The tree is the shelter. The rock is the spark. The weed is the food. The snow is the blanket. Outsmarting. The cold is not a fight. You cannot fight the cold. That is a fool's game. It is an agreement. It is humility. It is seeing what is there, not what you wish was there. It is reading the book of the world instead of trying to write your own new stupid words on top of it. And Mark, he was about to get a hard, cold lesson in reading. The journey? There's a line of marten traps, I said, up on the high ridge. It's a 2-day walk my way. Mark's eyes lit up. Let's do it, but let's do it my way, as a test. How's that? 1 day. We go fast. We go light. We take my system. We'll be back by dark. He held up his GPS. I'll set a waypoint. We can't get lost. I looked out the window. The sky was blue. The chickadees were calm again. But I remembered their panic. The fall storm. It had not come. But the conditions were still there. The smell of iron was still in the high air. It is not a good day to go fast, Mark. It's a perfect day, he said, tapping his barometer. The pressure is high and stable. The birds, I said, they don't like it. He smiled, that polite, educated smile. Old man, you trust birds, I trust data. This was the line. All right, I said, we go. But I bring my tools. I left my heavy pack, I left my robe, but on my belt I had my axe, I had my knife, and in my pouch my flint and steel, and a coil of sinew. You'll be heavy, he said. I can live with that, I said. We set out. He was fast, his lightweight gear, his long fit legs. He was a machine. I was the old man. I was slow. We made the ridge in 4 hours. A record. Mark was checking his GPS. See? Perfect. We're here. We checked the traps. Empty. The animals were hiding. They're not moving? I said. Just a slow day, Mark said. And then it happened. The sun did not set. It was smothered. A cloud, no, not a cloud. A fog came up from the ground. The air, which had been 20 degrees, dropped. It dropped so fast I could feel it, like stepping into a cold river. And the rain started. Not rain, freezing rain, tiny hard pellets. It was the fall storm, the warm air hitting the Arctic lid. It was the trap. The systematic failure, the long ordeal. No problem, Mark said, his voice a little tight. He pulled up the hood of his expensive Gore-Tex jacket. This is what it's made for. I pulled up the hood of my canvas anorak, which was heavy with grease and wax. The rain lasted for 1 hour, and in that hour the world changed. The click-click of the rain stopped. It was silence, a hissing silence. Okay, Mark said. It stopped. Let's head back. I've got the track on the GPS. He stopped. He looked at his arm. He looked at his jacket. His high-tech, breathable jacket had wetted out. The rain had saturated the outer layer, and in the sudden 40-degree temperature drop, it had frozen. It was not a jacket anymore. It was a suit of blue-green ice. It's stiff, he said, trying to move his arms. His voice was tight with a new sudden fear. My wool shirt under my anorak was damp. It was heavy, but it was warm. The animal oils in the wool were working. Mark was sealed. The GPS, he said, his voice cracking. He looked at the screen. The ice had coated the screen. He tried to wipe it. He fumbled with his glove. A thin, high-tech glove. It was stuck, frozen to the GPS. He tore it off. He looked at the screen. The liquid crystal display was black. The cold had killed it. The cold had killed his map. It's broken, he said. He looked at me. His face was white. He was not cold. He was terrified. It's okay, he said, talking to himself. It's okay. We know the way. Back south. He looked around. In the ice fog, south was where? The world was a gray, frozen bowl. Which way, old man? We are here, I said. That's not an answer, he shouted. The panic was rising, sharp and hot in his throat. Yes, it is, I said. We are here, and we are not moving. We stay. We'll die. We will die if we walk, I said. We are lost, and the night is coming. We shelter, we fire, we wait. He was a soldier. The panic, he fought it. He crushed it down. Okay, he said, his voice flat. Okay, fire, my system. He fumbled in his frozen, stiff pocket. He pulled out the plasma lighter. His glove, he couldn't use it. He pulled it off with his teeth. His fingers were already white. He pressed the button. Click. Nothing. The moisture, the ice, was in the contacts. Click. The cold, he whispered. It's dead. He threw it. He screamed a raw, thin sound of despair. He grabbed his other tool, the ferro rod. This, he said, this never fails. He grabbed a handful of twigs from the ground, twigs coated in a quarter-inch of clear ice. He struck the rod. A shower of sparks. The sparks hit the ice and died. He was sobbing. He scraped and scraped, a frantic, desperate motion. The sparks were beautiful and cold and useless. He stopped. He just stood there. His entire system, his GPS, his clothing, his fire, dead. He looked at me. He was a child. You knew, he whispered. I knew the birds were scared, I said. Now we work or we die. The outsmarting, the wisdom. He was broken. I was not. There is no dry wood, he said. You are wrong, I said. You are not seeing. You are looking at the ground. The ground is wet. I took my axe. I walked to a tree, a pine. It was dead. It was standing, a snag. It was coated in ice. It's ice, he yelled. I hit it. My axe bit deep. Thunk, I cleared the bark. And underneath, the outer wood was damp. But inside, the heartwood, it was dry. It was pale. It is dry on the inside, I said. I shaved it. I made a pile of shavings. It won't catch from a spark, he said. His teeth were chattering so hard it sounded like bones breaking. You're right, I said. I went to a birch tree, ice. I used my knife. I cut through the ice. I peeled the bark, the inner paper bark. It was dry and oily. I made a nest. I put the dry shavings inside. I took my flint, my steel. I struck. The sparks were small, but they hit my char cloth. A glow, a tiny red eye. I put the ember into the birch bark. I blew. Once, a wisp of smoke. Twice, a flame, a hot, real flame. Mark gasped. He had seen magic. I had made fire from ice. We're saved, he said. No, I said. We are not dying yet. Now, shelter. The snow cave, the long night. The tent, he said, the mylar tube. He pulled it out. He tried to unroll it. It was frozen. It tore. It shattered into silver pieces. He just watched it go. Your tech is brittle, I said. But this is not. I pointed at the ground. The snow, I said. It's cold. It is a blanket, I said. I took my axe. I found a drift. It was deep. We dig, I said. He just stood there. I hit him. I said, we dig. He looked at me. He saw the truth. He took his axe, and we dug. We dug into the drift. The work warmed us. We sweated. But this was good sweat. It was life. We dug for 2 hours, a cave, a hole, inside the snow. We get in, he asked. We get in, I said. We crawled inside. The wind, it stopped. It vanished. The world was silent. It was dark. It was not warm, but it was not cold. What? He whispered. The Inuit know, I said. The snow traps the heat. It is shelter made from cold. We outsmarted the wind. We took our fire. We brought the embers inside. We built a small fire near the mouth. The smoke rose, the heat stayed. We sat in our snow cave, and we listened to the world break outside. We lived. Day 2, the tea. We woke. We were alive, but we were empty. Food, Mark said. We have no food. We do, I said. I crawled out. The world was white, ice, everywhere. There is nothing, he said. You are blind, I said. I walked to a pine tree. I showed him the needles. Food, I said. They're pine needles. They are tea, I said. I showed him how to know the right one. This white pine, 5 needles. It is life. I showed him the birch tree, the chaga, the black fungus. It is not food, I said. It is medicine. It holds the fire. We melted snow in a hollow stone. We boiled the water. We made tea. It was hot. It was bitter. It tasted like the forest. It filled our bellies. This knowledge, Mark said. He held the hot tea. It's real. It is more real than your GPS, I said. Day 3, the way home. We walked. I showed him how. The wind carves the snow, I said. The ridges point south. The moss grows on the north side of the tree. He stopped looking down. He started looking up. He was reading. He was learning. When we finally saw my cabin, he did not speak. He just touched a pine tree. He ran his hand over the bark. He was saying, "Thank you." We sat in the cabin. The fire was hot. Mark was quiet. He was looking at his broken gear, the shattered mylar, the dead GPS. It all failed, he said. No, I said. It worked perfectly. It worked as it was meant to. It is rigid, and the world broke it. The Inuit know the snow is a blanket. The Cree know the pine is medicine. The Ojibwe know the birch is fire. They do not fight the forest. They are part of the forest. Your tech is a wall. It keeps you out. He looked at me. Your knowledge saved us. No, I said. The forest saved us. My knowledge just let me ask for help. Your tech is not bad. It is arrogant. It assumes it is smarter than the tree. It is not. The tree has survived 1,000 ice storms. Your GPS could not survive one. Outsmarting. The cold is not fighting it. It is humility. It is listening to the chickadee. It is respecting the ice. It is knowing that you are small, and that is the greatest wisdom. The modern man tries to build a wall of tech to keep the cold out. He thinks he is safe behind it. The wise man learns to read the stones in that wall. The tech always fails. The reading never does.